that's a big deal. And we can certainly talk about 10.56 cents to 13.9 cents is 27.5 cents, or 27.5%. Some people have messed that up and be 27.5 cents, which is an over-exaggeration of the truth. But it's 3 cents. It's 3 cents. And the impact on an average home is about $49 a year, $165,000 home. That's the impact, Mr. Frazier, of the increase as opposed to the other.
Don't point at me because that's so disingenuous.
Okay, well, we'll cover that in just a little bit. Anyway, so back to the idea of how the organizational structure plays out. You can see again the board of directors, the elected board of directors is the leader. They are the representative of the people of Wilson County to lead the Wilson County Memorial Hospital District, doing business as Conley Memorial Medical Center. There is a management agreement with Endeavor Healthcare that serves at the pleasure of the board. That is the arrangement there. My job as both a representative of Endeavor, but most importantly the Chief Executive Officer of Conley, is to ensure that the operations of the hospital and the strategic goals of the hospital are met as set by the Board of Directors. And then I have an executive team that assists me with that, a Chief Financial Officer, Chief Nursing Officer, Chief Operating Officer. The Executive Director of the Countywide EMS will be on that team, and the Executive Director of our clinic system. So this person will certainly have a very important role within our organization. Again, we started to cover this a little bit. 3 cents per $100 provides $893,000 to the project here in fiscal year 2017. We did this for one very key reason, and I'll state this very clearly. The idea behind increasing the tax in fiscal year 2017 is to capitalize this project. There was kind of a timing problem with this whole situation. We knew that it was going to take a lot of planning to be able to start the service October 1st through December 31st of 2017. That's actually fiscal year 18. That's actually a year ahead of our planning. But the problem was that we were in August of 2016 and needed to have our discussion around our fiscal year 2017 tax rate at that time. So we did have that conversation, and we knew that if we were going to start a project, start operations of a countywide ambulance service in October, November, or December, we would have to capitalize that project before that time. So the way that works is your tax dollars are only available one time a year. We requested those dollars in our tax process. We requested those dollars through the public hearings that you saw there, and they will be paid to us over the course of the next few months to be distributed by the end of fiscal year 2017, essentially September 31st. That's how we will be able to purchase ambulances, work through the ideas of an ambulance garage, how those items are addressed, and have a service that's ready to serve the county by October 1st through December 31st of 2017. So that's how that worked. There's some interesting things that go on with that. The 3 cent tax increase, again, essentially on the average home is a relatively small dollar amount. But you look at the residents of ESD 3. Theoretically, what I believe to be true from the information you very generously shared with us is that the tax rate in ESD3 is 9 cents to provide the ambulance service. So this theoretically, or as we work together on this project, residents of ESD3 should see a 6-cent decrease in their tax service as our service is able to come on board. That's really one of the biggest issues that I think is important to know. So that's the tax impacts from that standpoint. Other just kind of items that are worthy of note. We did have a budget that was prepared. We sent this through a consultant. We sent this through another outside agency to have it reviewed. Fiscal year 2017, we know that the plan is to receive $893,000 of revenue related to that tax. We will have a certain amount of expense for the first month or two of EMT hiring and training, as well as the executive director. And then the balance will be used to capitalize the project. That's the plan in terms of, again, obtaining equipment, obtaining ambulances, and working with each of you. Then once we begin operation, we know that the ambulance runs will generate a certain additional amounts of revenue. We know that the personnel expense will obviously increase by providing jobs and opportunities to each of the staff members, and we'll have additional non-personnel expense that will work into that budget. Things like insurance, things like supplies and other expenditures. Pretty simple view from this point, but this was the foundation of our project. So I know there's still probably many questions from the board. I'm happy to answer many of those. But what I wanted to do in closing is provide just a number of definitive summary statements that will be the basis of every answer that I give. Number one, we will operate MICU level care across the county 24/365. That will be the basis of our service. I already stated patient care will be driven by definitive care guidelines and patient choice. There is no discussion of this. This is an absolute, just as our MICU guidelines. Come back to the tax increase. Yes, indeed, it is a 27.5% increase on a relatively small dollar amount. The average household, again, is about $1 a week. What I also want to be on record here as stating is that our County Hospital Board has publicly mentioned many times that after we help this service come together, after the operations of this service stabilize, our intention is to go back to our history of reducing taxes. I want to make everyone very aware that that is not a pie-in-the-sky statement. That is a fact. It is the goal. It is the effort of our hospital board to pull these operations together, create the economies of scale that each of your organizations need, and then return to our history of reducing taxes after stabilizing those operations. That is a clear goal that is in the mind of every board member of our hospital. We've also certainly know, I've certainly read the newspaper, as you all have too, both ESD 2 and 3 have publicly stated an intention to reduce taxes for the essentially equivalent amount when ambulance service is available. Again, that is in good cooperation with the residents to make sure that their tax dollars are going to good use. Certainly that will take place in the first year of operations. But the last kind of definitive statement that I want to make, so that it's crystal clear and that there is no question about this, we've seen some comments made by some folks that say, the hospital is going to go to 75 cents per 100 valuation. It's absolutely unfathomable. It couldn't be farther from the truth and is absolutely not based on any facts or history of Conley's actions. In 1977, the state legislature of Texas filed the enabling action for Wilson County Memorial Hospital District to be formed. And at that time, the enabling legislation allows all hospital districts to tax at 75 cents per 100. This board that serves you here in Wilson County has never been anywhere close to those amounts, nor do they have any intention at any time of going anywhere near them. That is just not how our public board works. Our goal is to help this service come together, help it become operationally stable, and then return to our efforts of reducing taxes. So I wanted to make sure, since that claim has been laid out there many times very openly, I wanted to very abruptly stop that issue, because there is nothing that couldn't be farther from the truth. So I wanted to hit that as my final definitive summary statement. I'll continue to come back to these topics with every question, because this is where we are, this is where we're going, and I'll be happy to answer some of those topics. So we'd love to get some feedback.